Make the call is needed because there is only a 50% solve rate for homicides committed here. And it isn't because the police aren't doing their best. They most definitely are. It's because witnesses, some of whom are watching this program right now, won't come forward to give the police the information they need to apprehend these murderers. It is our hope that after watching this program, you who have information will come forward because it's the right thing to do. Our first victim profile is of Paris Meacham. Detective John Norden with the East Palo Alto Police Department will give us the details of this case.
Thank you. On July 22nd, 2009, it was 12:38 in the afternoon. East Palo Alto police officers were summoned to the 1100 block of Laurel Avenue on a report of a shooting victim. When they arrived, they found a man on the sidewalk on the corner of Laurel Avenue and Bay Road. They called the paramedics, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. He was identified as Paris Meacham, who was 18 years old and from the neighborhood. Despite all our efforts, we were unable to locate witnesses or gather the vital information we need to solve the case. We have a couple of phone numbers that we'd like to put out for persons who would like to call. They can be done anonymously. The first is our anonymous tip line at 650-853-8477, or our murder hotline, which is 188-MURDER-0.
Thank you, Detective. With us to talk about the life of Paris Meacham are his mother, Yvette Mayfield, his cousin, Isabel Brooks, and another cousin, Elnora Brooks. So thank you all for coming on this program. I know this is a very difficult time and hard time, but thank you very much. It took a lot of courage, I think, to come forward. So let me start first with Paris's mother. Can you tell us how was it you found out about your son's death?
I was actually at home on leave. I was on a leave of absence at work, and I got a phone call from his dad. And at that same time, I was just on the phone with a friend of my younger son's mother, and we were talking about how every time she sees Paris, he's always so respectful, and something about his smile. And my phone clicked, and it was his dad. And when I answered the call, his dad basically just said, Paris is gone. And I kind of just said, what do you mean he's gone? And when he said it again, I just kind of, I guess I just lost it. I didn't know what to do. I just kind of was.
So what did you do? What did you do?
I ended up jumping in my car and trying to go to the scene where it happened. I was on the phone with one of my girlfriends who kept just telling me, he's gonna be okay when you get there, they're gonna be working on him. But as soon as I hit Newbridge, the direction that I was coming, I seen the yellow tape, and that's when reality set in.
So did you stay at the crime scene, or what happened?
I stayed there until they took his body away.
So, you know, I appreciate that you're here, and I can also appreciate how hard this is. I can't really know because I have not lost a child in this fashion. But if you will tell us, because I think if anybody who knows something is watching, they've got to be moved by hearing you talk about this because it's so hard. So what has it been like for you without your son, without Paris?
It's hard. A lot of people say that I'm a very strong person when it comes to a lot of things, but I have my good days, I have my bad days. On my bad days, I just try and just remember him and how joyful he was. I mean, Paris used to clown around a lot. He was always joking, and sometimes I'd have to tell him, you need to be more serious about things, and he'd tell me, Mom, you worry too much, or it was always something, you know. He was the son, but he would try to act like he was my dad. Where are you going? Who are you going with? When are you coming back? There's just certain sides of him that other people probably never have seen in him.
We have some photographs that you have been able to provide to us about Paris, and perhaps if we could take a look at some of those photographs, and their two cousins are here as well, and maybe you all could tell us a little bit about what those photos are showing. So there's a photo up now, and what's that a photo?
He had went to the prom with one of his close friends, and
he looks so happy there, doesn't he?
They were.
He's handsome, very handsome. Let's see if there's another photo. And this?
We were out at a family get-together for my mother's birthday, and as usual, clowning around, taking photos.
Wow. And this?
We were at my son's graduation.
That's you?
His brother, yeah.
His brother's graduation.
His brother's graduation. Oh.
And him just at home doing him.
Just be in Paris.
Just being Paris.
Right. And I think this is our last one.
That was...
How old was he there? And what
Paris
grade?
was, I think, maybe 12. That was when he was playing youth football.
And another here?
And he was working on his car.
Oh. So I'm going to ask the cousins, because you haven't said anything just yet. And what are your thoughts about Paris, and how close were you to him?
Me and Paris was real close from day one. We lived together. I mean, we was always around, sports. I was always there. Like she said, Paris is he was a totally different person that nobody knew, you know, about him. I mean, he's a jokester, I mean, goofing around.
Did he love family?
Oh, yeah,
family?
always.
Yeah. Can you tell us about?
One thing I used to tell Paris all the time, I'd always tell him, he would just be joking around, and I'd say, Paris, I love you. I always would tell him that I love him. And
he had the biggest smile.
Yeah, he gets so happy. And then he could just, if he's negative, or if he say just a little comment, and I'll say, I just love you all the time.
Well, sounds like a wonderful young man. It really does. So, thus far, no one has come forward with information about this shooting and about your son's murder. But I do know that Detective Norton has been in contact with you, and also Detective Norton has been making efforts to try to locate someone. So Detective Norton, you know, what kinds of things have you been doing since Paris's death?
Trying to locate witnesses, and we've had a tough time. We've done neighborhood checks of the streets where it occurred, the intersection, the entire 1100 block. We've gone house to house. And we don't know for sure whether there's just no witnesses or people are just too scared to talk to the police. Paris's mother and I have corresponded a few times on the telephone and through emails, trying to put our heads together, because sometimes people will talk to the family and tell them things that they don't want to tell the police. And so I want to make sure that she and I stay in touch and that we communicate, because any little bit of information, even if people don't think it's really important, they have no idea how pertinent it might be to the case.
Right. So I'm going to assume that there's someone out there watching this program that knows something. Even if, like Detective Norton said, even if it's just a little bit of information. And we want those people to come forward. So I'm going to turn to Paris's mother, and if someone in the audience is watching right now who knows something, what do you want to say to that person or those people?
Just come forward. I mean, it could be their brother, it could be their sister, it could happen to anybody. And that's the sad part. I mean, nobody's invincible. And it's just like I go through the pain, there's other families that are out there going through the same pain. And it's just not right.
And how about you two? What do you have to say to somebody who might know something that could help bring justice in this case?
It's just not worth it.
I just want them to come forward.
Yes.
Just with anything. There's a lot of teenagers in East Palo Alto that know. They're just afraid to speak.
Exactly.
They're worried
you
about.
think there's some people who do know something?
Yes, they do.
believe so.
They have songs on Facebook, MySpace, and they're speaking of Paris, but no one wants to come and speak forward.
Yeah.
They're afraid to just say what they know. And just the little bit that they do know would be right if they just called.
East Palo Alto is not that big. I mean, and everybody knows everybody. And everybody's kids, they grew up with their mother. I mean, it's too small for no one not to know anything.
So you feel somebody must know something.
Yes.
Definitely.
And why is it you think people are not coming forward?
They're afraid. Maybe if we can put out an award or do something or make sure that whoever does come forward, that they don't get in trouble or, you know, they're protected or something, you know.
Right. Right.
Some feel that they're not confident that they'll be protected, so they're afraid to speak or to be labeled as a snitch. But it always takes
ways
one
to protect their
Right.
identity.
Yeah.
We just want the information.
Right.
Yeah.
But it always takes one person to be the leader.
One person to have some courage, right? To do the right thing.
Right.
And I would think that if anyone were a friend of Paris, that a friend would step forward and say something, even if it's anonymously, to give some information. So that's what we're hoping that will come out of this conversation here. So at this time, I thank you. I thank both of you. And Detective, thank you for your work in the field. It will continue to do what you can to help solve this crime. And if any of you have any information about the death of Paris Meacham, all you have to do is make the call, 1-888-MURDER-0.